So continuing on our journey of quality, we're going to look at an organization and the CMMI process as it's applied within an organization. Okay, so what happens when we initially apply it, when we continue to work it, when we better define it, you know, when it's basically a focus of our management, and then finally optimizing. So just briefly, so the first stage, okay, work gets completed but often delayed and over budget. You know, we're not really looking at the reasoning for that, you know, the quality of the work, etc. So, you know, this would be like having no program at all managed on the project level. You know, that's where projects are planned, they're performed, they're measured and controlled. So again, remember that there are companies today that will still do what seems like basic projects, right, that are unpredictable and reactive. So very clear. I'll give you an example of that. So I do some volunteer work, and the need came up to give a third party access to data outside of the network. It seemed like it should be easy. The challenge was IT wasn't informed of this during the project. So the project went on, they decided to hire a third-party contractor to do some work. That contractor needed data, and consequently, you know, IT finally finds out about it, and what everyone else thought would be a simple and easy means of giving them access to data was not, because it was opening them up to have access to the entire network. Right? So there was a lot of work that needed to be done. And so consequently, you know, this went over budget, if you will, even though it wasn't a formalized project, because it was reactive, right? Versus us finding out and preparing and doing some testing and being prepared for that. So consequently, you know, the third party was getting paid to not do any work because we couldn't give them secure access to that. So that's just an example of that. So managed on the project level, you know, when we get up to maturity level 3, we're proactive rather than reactive. You know, organization-wide standards provide guidance across projects, programs, and portfolios. So remember, we talked about the importance of portfolios. Here it is. At this level, we are not just reacting, and we're not just doing singular projects that are siloed. We're looking at all of the projects, and we're looking at the value, and we're looking at, are they meeting the short-term goals and the long-term goals and the vision and the mission of the company? Okay. So moving on, you know, when we get up to quantitatively managed, we're measuring, we're controlling, so we're data-driven. All of those metrics that we looked at in the previous chapter, that's what we're using. We're applying them consistently throughout not just our project, but all of the projects. So we're standardizing our data and the collection of data, and then we're reporting that data across the organization. And by doing that, we're suddenly predicting what it is that the project's supposed to do. We're predicting the cost, we're predicting the value. You know, we're making sure that it's gonna, as it says here, meet the needs of internal and external stakeholders. Okay, so again, notice plan, plan, plan. So as soon as we just create a plan, we're at level 2 because so many projects get done without a plan. And finally, optimizing, stable and flexible. So organization is focused on continuous improvement and is built to, you know, pivot and respond to opportunity, to change, again, not scope creep, okay, not constant change. The organization's stability provides a platform for agility and innovation because we now have a means of doing these things. So just sort of a little bit more information. So level 1, characterized by immature organization in which the project process is ad hoc and often reactive to crisis, right? And this is a lot of small businesses here that don't spend a lot of time, that are on, you know, let's put this into network management. They're on a break fix, okay? When I had my consulting business a decade ago, I wanted to put customers on a proactive maintenance schedule. Do things that were going to be proactive. Do things that would notify us as the IT consultants of issues before the customer even knew there were issues. And customers just didn't go for it, okay? Because they really thought, even though I presented data to them, showing them that their break fix costs were actually higher than their proactive costs would have been if they had signed and, you know, basically paid us each month to make sure things didn't break in the first place. But they continued on this path. And again, a lot of companies are right here. You know, they're doing ad hoc testing. There's no key. There's no structured process to what they're doing. They are just reacting to what's happening, not taking into account that if their server's down for 2 days, right, what's the impact on customer service, on revenue, etc. So once we get to level 2, we're repeatable. So basic policies, procedures, you know, controls for managing a software project are in place. Again, we're focusing on projects here, but this quality structure applies to business as well, okay? Previous project success can be repeated by other project teams and other projects. A lot of times, you know, bringing those experts back into continued process, configuration management, quality assurance, subcontract management. Again, we're doing things more proactively. And it's because now we have some experience from applying a project plan. Okay, now go ahead and pause and, you know, read through this. Continuing on with level 2, you know, project tracking and oversight. So now we're suddenly using project management software, or, you know, maybe we're still just at the place that we are leveraging good form and structure within Word, within Excel, maybe within a database. Okay, but most likely, you know, at the point that we're at level 2, we are engaging software, you know, managing projects through that. And again, just by engaging that software, we're getting and receiving and housing and reporting on the same type of data across multiple projects. Okay, requirements management, so the process of, you know, documenting, analyzing, tracing, prioritizing, and agreeing on requirements, you know, with stakeholders, reporting back to stakeholders. Again, it's now become a process. And as we know, when we get into a process, we do that process more efficiently the more times we do it, and the better quality of process we create, right? So software engineering and management, so the process are documented, they're standardized throughout the organization. You know, this is where we have quality control mechanisms that are, and all those matrix that we talked about, that are applied to each and every project. We have, you know, intergroup coordination, we have software product engineering, integrated, you know, software management, training programs. Again, we are just doing things consistently. We've found a method that works, or a method that works today, okay, and we're applying it over and over again, even down to the point of, you know, on the manufacturing line, having someone do the same process in a certain way, because we know this is how it's efficient, and we know we're not going to create quality problems within. So as we get to managed, level 4, quantitative metrics for measuring and assessing productivity. So we have this down. We know what works for our organization. We're now applying those not just from a reactive standpoint or a place in time. We're applying these across the project to see, okay, if we continue on this process, where are we going to end up, and how can we, you know, change that if we're over budget or over time or etc. Okay, and what's worked before. That's where that predictability comes in. Okay, so it is quantifiable and it's predictable, and we know sort of where we're going based on the fact that we've now been doing this and we're applying these methodologies across the organization. So software quality management, the management process that aims to develop and manage the quality of software in such a way so as to best ensure the product meets the quality standards. That's pretty simple. So again, in an organization where they're doing a lot of programming, they're going to have a programming standard. that says this is how we program, this is what we use, these are the classes we use. This is where we go for information. We're not going to have one person going here and another person going there. And all of the code, no matter who it's written by, is written in the same form and function and documented the same way. Okay? So again, all the way down to that quality. And then quantitative process, quantitatively manage the project to achieve the project's estimated quality and process performance. So we're again back to those values that we've calculated and making sure it stays on track. Now, when we first start using these calculations, because we haven't done a lot of planning, etc., we see a ton of variance, and the more we use them, the less variance we receive. Although I was hoping to get all 5 of these levels into one video, I think that's a great place to stop. So we will cover level 5 optimizing in detail in the next part of chapter 9. Take care.